I am back in London, back in the UK. Obviously, I was out in Rome coaching my client Giacomo, who absolutely smashed it. But we are back on home surf, home turf, home soil. And yeah, wanted to bang out a live stream and give you boys some more sauce, some more secret sauce to help you with your approaches. And obviously, I'm coaching, and so I do have updates as well. And so, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ian. I'm 29 years old, and I have this channel where I talk about all things related to dating, cold approach, specifically daytime cold approach. And forgive me, I'm a little bit gassy. And I help guys transform their dating lives. I transformed my own dating life in the past 18 to 24 months by taking aggressive action. And I learned a lot along the way. And now I've essentially restructured all the learnings, all the experiences that I've had, and I've put it into my own coaching program, my own mentorship program. And so if you are interested in working with me, then there's a link in the description, and there should be a link in the comment once this video is posted. And you can apply to work with me, and you can basically unfuck your dating life, right? For those of you who are still swiping on dating apps, those of you who have tried to do nightclubs, bars, maybe you've tried to strategically move to somebody in your social circle, but the options are thinning out day by day, week by week, as all your friends get married. I know all my friends are getting married, and so I don't relate to that anymore, fortunately. But of course, I'm here to help you boys, you guys. So if that sounds like you and you want to take proper action because you're actually a ballsy, courageous individual, then yeah, hit the link in the description. I've got a new website out, so you can click that link. It'll take you to my website, and you'll have all the details there in terms of how to apply. But let's get right into it. As you can see by the title, I believe I titled it, "You're a Pussy If You Can't Approach a Girl." Pretty mean, but true, right? Because if you can't approach a girl, then you're a pussy, right? And it's worth thinking about this because let's really boil down what we're doing here. All we're doing is going up to somebody and saying hi and talking to them and opening up a conversation, having a nice back and forth, establishing some sort of rapport. And of course, in this context, establishing a romantic connection, right? Trying to facilitate this romantic polarizing vibe between a guy and a girl. Okay. And so, why is doing that so scary? Why are we pussying out? Why do some people, not even some people, why do most people, most men, including some of you watching this, why are you so scared? Why are you such a pussy that you can't go and say hi? It begs the question because if we think about history, think about your ancestors. You do know a big reason why I'm sat here live streaming this video and you're on the other side watching this video is because at some point in our family ancestral history, our great grandfathers and great great grandfathers fought to keep our family bloodlines alive. They were fighting tooth and nail to keep the family name alive, traversing deserts, all sorts of terrifying, intimidating, bleak landscapes, natural disasters, Mother Nature, the wild, all sorts of plagues, and they made it, right? They went across seas, traveled across barren lands, and they survived for us to be where we are right now. And yet, when you see a girl standing at a fucking bus stop, you can't approach her. Imagine our ancestors just rolling in their grave thinking, what is going on? Why? This is what I fought for? Is this really what I fought for? My great 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 grandkids are living in the most pristine, privileged, abundant times, even though the world isn't great. Of course, I'm not here to say that the world is great, but the point is, you get the point. The point is, we're living in the most pristine time, especially compared to the olden days, hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, when our hunter-gatherer ancestors were literally fighting each other tooth and nail just to get a little bit of food. And so, what are we talking about here? Why is it so scary? It doesn't make any sense. And so, the first step in acknowledging the issue is to be honest with yourself in the mirror. You are a pussy, just like I was a pussy before I did my first approach. And it's funny because when I did my first approach, I remember one of the repeatable or one of the loud, gnawing voices in my head was, stop being a pussy. Just go in. Just go in. It doesn't matter what happens. At the end of the day, I don't want to be a scared little coward because I'm afraid of all these potential outcomes. Because in the grand scheme of life, it's not that deep. But again, it feels that deep. So paradoxically, on the one hand, I understand that it is scary and it is very difficult to overcome that physiological fear, that psychological fear, that paralyzing force that just pulls you back every time you want to go in or every time you want to be bold. And it's a real legitimate fear. And you feel it in your bones, in your blood, in your heart, in your lungs, in your throat. You feel it. So I understand that. But at the same time, when you look at it holistically, why is it so scary? What is the big deal? Of course, I know what the big deal is. It's the ego, it's your feelings, it's that negative self talk. It's maybe, just maybe, it turns out that you're not really shit. Maybe you think you're that guy, or maybe you don't think you're that guy. Maybe you think you're a piece of shit. Maybe you think you're unlovable. And when it comes to crunch time, when the girl appears at the bus stop or at the train station or outside of Zara, and you see her, you want to go in, but that voice says something in your mind. You think, if I go in and she rejects me, then maybe what I think about myself is true. Maybe that negative self concept that I think I'm a piece of shit, or that I think I'm unlovable or ugly or too skinny or too fat or not funny enough or ugly or have a terrible smile or have a terrible hairline or I don't make enough money. Everything that I use to demean myself might be true if she says no, if she gives me a bad reaction. And that is what we're scared of. It's funny because one of my clients, he's into martial arts. And he told me that he once fought abroad. And as we were talking, I said, okay, if you compare the first fight you ever had compared to your first approach, which one was scarier? And he told me in no uncertain terms that approaching the girl was scarier. And we both smiled at each other, laughed at each other, because on the one hand, we knew how crazy that is, because imagine being more afraid of approaching a cute, dainty, 130-pound girl who's, I don't know, 22 years old, and you're a 29-year-old man, and you're more afraid of her reaction than getting your face beaten to a pulp by another man who's out to get your head on a stick in a fight, right? Like, think about how ridiculous that is. How ridiculous is that? That's crazy. But is it crazy though when you really think about the human condition, when you think about the ego, when you think about our identity, when you think about how we relate to one another? Because there is physical pain and there is emotional pain, spiritual pain. And these pains, even though physical pain, it maybe is more visceral in the moment. If we're talking about long lasting pain, emotional pain, self torture in your mind, that's real pain, brother. That right there stays with you for life. Because, sure, you can get into a ring, you can get into a Muay Thai fight, for example, and yeah, you lose, you get your ass kicked, a couple of bruises here and there, but you recover. Your bruises heal up, your cauliflower ear patches up eventually, even though you have some long lasting damage. That stuff always looks weird, by the way. I've always wondered, when you walk and you see somebody with cauliflower ear, just know, give that guy some space. Because if you bump into his shoulder, he might kick your ass. Although I have found that a lot of guys who fight, this is a bit of a tangent, but a lot of guys who fight Muay Thai or any sort of martial arts or combat sports, they're actually the most humble guys in the world. They're very humble and they're very approachable and they're very kind. Why is that? It's because they've already been humbled by life. They've been humbled in the ring. Just like a lot of the guys who I meet through Cold Approach are also very humble individuals. They're not pussies. And more importantly, they're humble. Yeah. And humble doesn't mean they're quiet and they don't own their desires. They don't exude confidence. They don't put their foot down. They don't express themselves like I'm expressing myself right now. I'm still humble, even though I'm here kind of going on a bit of a rant. I'm still humble. I've been humbled hundreds of times. So I can appreciate the humility in people because I've carved it out for myself by facing my fears all the time, by putting myself in the judgment firing line, by having my ego bruised, by being rejected, right? And so that's what fighters have as well. But it is interesting that we're more afraid of the emotional pain, right? Because, like I said, the physical pain can heal itself fairly quickly. It's just a physical wound. But emotional wounds, especially when they're tied to our sense of self worth, ooh, ooh, that is dangerous. Dangerous business. Like, honestly, oh, what's up, Adnan? I can see you're in the chat. Adnan is in the chat. What's up, bro? Yeah, honestly, it's so dangerous, and I get it though, right? I get it. Emotional pain is rough and it sticks with you, and it's very much tied to your self narrative, which is there the moment you wake up and it's there right before you go to bed. And yeah, some people try to numb it down by drinking alcohol or taking other drugs or consuming lots of content or doom scrolling or any sort of addiction, right? Or any sort of bad habit. But ultimately, that narrative is always there. And as much as you try to drown it out, it's always going to pop back up. So, how do we fix this? How do you guys fix this? Because, sure, I'm being very bombastic right now and I'm attacking essentially anybody who can't approach. But let's not forget where I was 2 years ago. I also was a pussy. And I can humbly accept that. I can sit here on camera and say that I used to be a pussy. And that's okay. It's okay. Not once have I said that it's not okay. It's okay to just admit that you are afraid, that you are a pussy because you can't approach a girl. It's okay. That's the first step to freedom. That's the first step to change. So rewind 2 years ago. I was that pussy. I was that guy who was too afraid. Why was I too afraid? Like I said, because I did not want the worst case scenario to occur because it would destroy my ego. It would put my sense of self-worth into jeopardy. And I didn't feel, I felt as if I couldn't have recovered. It just felt like the end of the world, right? So much of my ego was tied into how what people thought about me, how people reacted to me. I used to be a people pleaser. I used to be a proper people pleaser. So if I made anybody uncomfortable, or if I felt as if I had done something wrong, then I'd feel ashamed about it. And I didn't want to feel shame. So I prevented myself from going out and expressing my desires. So that's the reason why I was paralyzed. One of many reasons, apart from just a lack of exposure. And of course, all the rejections I'd experienced in high school and university, etc., etc. All of that coalesced into a scared 27-year-old man who couldn't approach the girl, right? I just got a message from the girl I'm seeing. Sorry, I need to put this on Do Not Disturb. Okay, we're back. Perfect timing, eh? Look, see what the skill brings you. Now I've got my girl texting me, asking me when she wants to see me. Life is good, eh? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Let's not deviate from the topic. But yes, I was scared. I was afraid, and I have grace. By the way, I have a lot of grace for you guys, man. It's not easy. It's not easy, right? But we have to acknowledge it. And so I was there, and what did I do to change that? I just said, screw this. I'm done being a pussy. I'm done submitting to societal norms. I'm done listening to what people tell me to do. I'm done being part of the norm. I'm done. I'm done. Finito. I'm finished. I do not want to be a part of the herd anymore. I am taking matters into my own hands, and I'm going to carve out a life for myself, and I don't care if my ego gets battered. I don't care, right? Through fire or through force, this will work for me anyhow, anywhere. I will make it work. I don't care. Because I was sick and tired of being in the same position. You can be a pussy all your life if you want to be in that position and stay comfortable. But the reality is that it's not comfortable, because those of us who are in those positions, when I was in that position, life wasn't great. I was living in fear, paralyzed by fear. And is that a life you want to live? We all talk about free will. We talk about free will, being able to do whatever we want. But are most people actually doing what they want? Are most people actually enacting the free will that has been given to them by the universe and by God? Are most people doing that? No, most people are living like slaves. Most people are just doing what other people have told them to do and haven't even thought twice about why they do what they do. Why are they scared of what they're scared of? It doesn't make any sense. So I reached the point where I said, no, I'm tired of this. This is boiling point. This is an inflection point. I either stay as I am and get the same terrible dry results, 4-year dry streak, no sex, no dates, no play, low confidence, even though everything else in my life was going seemingly well. People on the outside looked at me and went, Ian's doing really well. He's got his own apartment. He's got obviously his friendship group. He likes to go watch football. He plays the drums. He's so smart. He's got a fancy economics degree. He went to a fancy university. By all accounts, Ian is doing really well. Ha! Ian's so good. Ha! Bullshit. Bullshit. Because deep down inside, there was fear. I was paralyzed by fear. And in that moment, September 14th, 2024, I said, I'm sorry, but I cannot allow this to continue. I cannot allow this to continue. I have to make drastic change. Not just I'll try. No, I'm going to commit to this and actually change who I am internally, change the texture of my mind, of my entire being, and go from pussy to power. Go from pussy to powerful, courageous. I had to. I had no choice. Yeah. And so that's what I did. And so that's why I made that decision and I went in, even though I felt scared, even though I felt incompetent, even though I felt like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I said, I have to make this change. I have to make a move. And I did. And I'm glad I did, because it's brought me to where I am today. And I wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and I go, I like that guy. That guy's not a pussy. Oh, he's far from a pussy. That guy is bold. That guy is bold. He is bolder than a bold font on Microsoft Word. I couldn't think of a great analogy. That's such a terrible analogy. Either way, you get the point, right? And so we need to take a moment, boys, and reflect and think to ourselves, okay, am I being a pussy right now? And why am I being a pussy? One of the greatest questions you can always ask yourself is why? Why do I do what I do? Or why don't I do what I want to do? That's a great question to ask. Why don't I go after what I want? Whose opinions am I afraid of? What scenario am I afraid that will play out? Do I think I'm going to lose my credibility? Do I think I'll lose my reputation? Am I afraid of being laughed at? Am I afraid of being ostracized? Am I too concerned about societal norms? Because look, if you're watching my content and you resonate with my message, then you know that I have no business, I have no desire to be lumped in with most people. I just don't see myself as that guy. I, I've always seen myself as an outcast. I've always seen myself as a rebel, somebody who goes against the grain. And so I'm very much the guy flying the big fuck you flag to the rest of society. Not because I think people are bad. No, I have a lot of grace for people. I want people to elevate. I want people to reach a new level of consciousness, new frequencies where they operate from a place of internal self-belief, desire, authenticity, instead of fear, instead of cowering, instead of falling in line just because that's the norm. Just because something is normal, it doesn't mean that it's right, right? So a lot of people are just moving along with the herd, with the flow, without really thinking about, is this really what I want? Is this really who I am? Does this actually speak to my true desires, to my true identity? And it becomes so corrupted that at some point you lose your identity, right? You lose your identity. You don't even know who you really are because you're playing a facade, a mask. It's a big false mask. I was this guy. I used to be that guy. So thank God I came out of that daze, out of that confusion, that state of cloudy confusion. Thank God that I came out of it through the art of cold approach. Funnily enough, who would have thought trying to get girls and trying to get laid and trying to get a girlfriend and trying to play the field would have brought me closer to myself? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But that's what happened. Unknowingly. I didn't know that at the time. I just wanted to get girls. And I've got the girls and I've had the experiences and I want more and I will continue to get more as I travel the world and coach more guys and help guys up from the bottom. Because ultimately, look, I said it myself, right? I used to be that guy. So I'm not talking from a place of like significant judgment because I used to be that guy. So when I say that, I'm really looking at a previous version of myself, right? When I say you're being a pussy, I'm looking at the previous version of Ian. So I resonate with anybody who's going through that, right? But you'll make it out if you just take that leap of faith, okay? So that's the rant over. Otherwise, if you liked what you heard, if you're galvanized, if you want to really make a change in your life and, you know, reclaim your authentic self, attain the dating life that you've always wanted, go from scarcity to abundance, then click the link below. Check out my website, apply for a call. I've already worked with my clients. Giacomo's killing it. Kevin killed it in his immersion. Join the movement, right? And if you don't want to join, it's all completely good. Continue to get the content. I'll continue to provide value because I really want to help you guys. I really want you guys, the guys who are where I used to be, I want to help you guys up. I want you guys on the floor feeling like there's a dead end, feeling like there's no hope, because that's not life. And I've already had my experiences, and sure, I want more, but I think it's time I give back, right? It's time I give back to the people, to the men out there who are just like me, right? Everything else in life was doing okay, doing good, good enough, yeah? And in some areas, excelling, right? Especially academically. I excelled academically and even financially in terms of my career and my seniority. So, yet my dating life sucked, yet I was lonely. That doesn't make sense. Make that make sense. But that's the reality of a lot of guys. And so if that's you, then I'm here in your corner if you want me to be in your corner. So yeah, click the link and let's see if you're a good fit. Otherwise, that's the live stream. And yeah, I'll be releasing my Rome vlogs. So obviously I released 2 videos on the channel, but I'm going to release the more vlog type footage where, you know, I'm talking about my actual approaches, talking about the date I went on with the American girl, And so I'll drop a 3-part series, which will basically come out across today, Wednesday, and Friday. So you know what to expect. But yeah, I'll drop those this week. So you'll enjoy those. And then, yeah, we'll keep on pushing. But I am coaching full time now. So if you guys are interested, I am coaching full time. I'm fully committing to this, and I've already gotten the results from my clients. So I want to just double down on that and really grow this movement. And so if that sounds like you, if you sound interested, then like I said, hit the link. Otherwise, have a good rest of your week, boys. Catch you soon. Bye. Oh, sorry, I didn't say what's up to Adnan. Sorry, I didn't read the comments. It's been so long since I've had the comments on my videos that I completely forgot. So Adan says, "Morning, Ian. Yeah, I would say if you can't even approach a guy for directions, then you're a clown. Then you're a clown. Yeah, exactly, man. Let alone a girl for something else." Adan also says, "Sadly, you can only help people that want to be helped. If the masses don't want to help, there's not much you can do about it." Yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm only here for the guys who resonate with the message. If you don't resonate with the message, click off. Nobody's forcing you to be here. And if you resonate with the message, if you want to elevate and escape the herd hive mind and instead go for what you deserve, go for what you're destined for. You want everything, you want as much as possible, you want abundance, you want to live the life that you always thought was inaccessible. If you're a dreamer, I'm a dreamer. I'm a dreamer, right? I want greatness. I want to make it. I want to feel abundance. And so if that's you, then this is for you, right? And if that's not for you, if you're happy where you are, then you're happy. And I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm not here to change everybody's mind. I'm just here signaling to the guys who I know are waiting in the wings, the guys who need a bit of a kick up the ass. And so I'm here to provide that kick like a good coach does. And so, like I said, join me if you want to join. If not, que sera, my friend. Peace out.